Hamas's unprovoked attack on Israel and the subsequent response by Tel Aviv can reverse some of the ambitious initiatives in the Middle East. As we have been reporting, the US has been pushing for normalization of the relationship between Saudi Arabia and Israel and an economic corridor from India to Europe that will pass through the Middle East. The fate of these two now hangs in balance as Tel Aviv has declared war and is bombarding the Gaza Strip following the deadliest attack in years by the militant organization Hamas on Israel. Now, the India-Middle East-Europe Economic Corridor was launched last month on the sidelines of the G20 summit in New Delhi, as we extensively covered. This will comprise of two separate corridors, the East Corridor connecting India to the Arabian Gulf and the Northern Corridor connecting the Arabian Gulf to Europe. It will include a cross-border ship-to-rail transit network, enabling goods and services to transit to, from and between India, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Israel and Europe. Now, as you've probably heard by now, the India-Middle East-Europe Economic Corridor has been dubbed as a counter to China's Belt and Road Initiative. However, as Israel is now caught in a bloody war, many suspect that this corridor will take off from here. Now, as Israel has cut off electricity to the Gaza Strip, home to about 2.3 million people, and Israeli-American F-35 jets are bombing the region, geopolitical analysts we are speaking to argue that Saudi Arabia, Iran and Qatar have voiced support for Hamas. In fact, some analysts argue that the US plans for this corridor or Saudi-Israel peace now do not look promising. China's state media, meanwhile, the Global Times, a few hours ago has published an article titled Hamas Attack Harsh Reminder Wave of Reconciliation in Middle East Won't Last with Palestine-Israel Conflict Unsolved. Now, this Global Times article that I'm mentioning, it clearly states, and I quote, Chinese observers said the surprise attack, triggered largely by Hamas's intention to disrupt US-backed Saudi Arabia-Israel normalization, will shadow the recent wave of reconciliation in the Middle East and serve as a harsh reminder that the reconciliation will be short-lived with the Palestine-Israel conflict remaining unsolved. They also believe the conflict will exert a heavy blow to Washington's Middle East policies, including disrupting the new US-backed India-Middle East trade route, a plan aimed at challenging China. This was not the only India reference, by the way. Global Times, which is affiliated to the Chinese Communist Party, also stated that experts say this conflict will severely set back the US policies on the Middle East. The latest example being Biden's plan of building a large-scale transportation network with India, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates.
America wants stability and fairness. The United States does not want to decouple. We want the Chinese people to have economic opportunity. That would be good for America. But China must also provide a level playing field for American companies and workers. Many Americans, most Americans, including our delegation, do not believe we have that fairness now.